This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to the Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I am in the very fine studios of Pod Populi, podcast for the people. I'm at the one in Boca Raton, Florida. I just got off a plane, so it was delayed forever. This one's going to drop. I'm going to record this, and it's going to drop like within the hour after me recording it. So you're going to get hot off the presses. Not so fun fact of flying. Do you know that it takes longer to fly from Los Angeles to New York, or pretty much from anywhere to anywhere, in 2023 than it did in 1973? Isn't that insane? If somebody told you in 1973 that it would take longer to fly from Chicago to Atlanta or Salt Lake City to Pittsburgh in 2023 than it did back then, you would have thought that's crazy. You would have thought, like, in 50 years, it'll be like the Jetsons. You would have thought in 30 years, it would have been like the Jetsons. Well, it's not at all. The planes are no faster. The air traffic is heavier. And the way they do their fuel conversation is just worse. So they slow the planes up. They do not fly them at anywhere near as fast as they can go. So that's my little not so fun fact. Anyway, so I'm a bit of a rush to get this one out. And I had something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. Therapy tends to do that to me, and as a result, to you. That's the trickle-down effect. You should pay my therapist. So it might be a little bit of a quickie, but I never miss an episode. Ever. Since we started doing this show in late 2015, I have not missed dropping a single week, no matter what I was doing, no matter where I've been in the world. I did one right after my car accident. I make sure that these release as scheduled because you commit to me and I commit to you, and we need to honor this commitment to each other and to the outcome, which I legitimately care about. And that's the word and the concept that I want to dive into today. I want to get into the concept of caring. So let me back up a bit. So as a business owner in 2023, like most business owners in 2023, and again, if you're listening to this in 2025, catch up. I hope the world's better then. But in 2023, hiring competent, qualified, motivated, ambitious, creative, enthusiastic people, it's a challenge. And I have always been a terrible hirer. Always. And I've been hiring people since I started my first business in college. And I've tried every possible demo and every possible description and every possible combo to get it right. I'm absolutely the worst. And I'm just so unbelievably bad at it. And you're going to be like, how does this relate to dating? Oh, I'll get to that in a second. And before you get into, well, if that's the case and you've been hiring wrong, the common denominator must be you, I'm going to cut you off. No fucking shit. Okay? It's like the person who's like, I keep dating all these narcissists. Well, who's that person? Well, that's me on the hiring thing. So knowing that doesn't really help me. I think I go about hiring the way most people go about dating, which means that you are projecting what they can be instead of seeing them as they are. And we do that all the time in relationships. When we first get in them, you're like, oh, I can overlook this. I can deal with that. Give me some time. I can change a few things. We'll work this out, blah, blah, blah. You're projecting the future of you with them and how they will be. So there is one exception to all this. For most of my showbiz career, I've been a writer, director, producer, and sometimes all three on a particular TV production or film or play or whatever. And I have hired literally hundreds of actors and actresses. And I've been absolutely fantastic at that. I am a master caster. I've plucked many, many people from obscurity with little or no experience, and some of them are pretty big stars right now. So good for you, Brian Howie. So why was I able to do that, but I can't hire a proper personal assistant or project manager? And so I had to think about that. And again, we're going to bring this into the dating in a second. And I think the reason is in those cases, I was literally hiring them for a job that was about them turning into someone else, which is what I was projecting before. It was about them playing a part, making something out of something that didn't exist. That was what I was hiring them for. So seeing them as they were in a moment out of character, that was completely irrelevant. It made no difference who they are. The only thing that matters when you're casting an actor and actress is who they could be. So in that scenario, I'm good at it because it's a plus. It's easier to hire people who pretend for a living than people who don't, at least for me. Because that was my imagination being involved in a partnership, which can always be dangerous in a relationship, at least early on. And I think the other reason is that people come to Hollywood every day with a dream. 3,000 people leave Hollywood every day with their dreams crushed, but 3,000 people come to Hollywood every day with a dream. They fight the odds, they tune out the naysayers, and they do anything and everything to make it and not go back home to small town Indiana feeling like a failure. They care about making it in the industry more than anything in the world. And that's the magic ingredient that I want to get into. They care. People in show business absolutely care, despite all the trappings and the fame possibilities and the seductive muse that show business can be. At the end of the day, almost without exception, the people in that business, this is still entertainment here. This podcast is show business. The people absolutely care more than maybe any other business. And I can tap into that and recognize that and work with that, which is why I've had so much trouble hiring people for not show business roles and why it is sometimes a challenge for me to recognize it in my personal life. Do they care? Because if someone cares, I think they can do anything. So when you're hiring somebody, is this a job or a passion? Relationship, is this a fling or commitment? Caring is what separates this being this from this being that. Capital T-H-A-T. So then you ask, well, what is caring? So because I care about the answer to that and this entire conversation, and you guys, I do want to explore it. I want to talk about why it matters, how you can recognize it, and we will do all that right after this. And we are back. And I spoke to a therapist about this some time ago and revisited the answer fairly recently. I had this feeling, 2017, 2018, where I wondered that if I disappeared for a while, I rowed a boat out into the Pacific, how long would it take somebody to notice? And how long would it take for somebody to care? And as you know, I'm as look at me self-centered as anyone. But it wasn't about the noticing. It was about the caring. How long before somebody would care, and who would that person be? And if you were in a relationship with that person, how much would they care? And is the caring enough to sustain you, them, the whole thing? And I think the answer at that time, for me, really frightened me, and it probably still does to some degree. How many people care, really care? For me, that's a shockingly small number. It's not good. I hate that it's like that. It's a very, very unhealthy, antisocial way to live. Now, I'm not sure that that's not a big part of what I put out to the universe. Nobody gets too close. Nobody gets that much time. But that goes back to the hiring and the dating and the bonding and all of that. How can you discover who cares? And how can you figure out the degree of caring? There's no real scale on that. Oh, they care about an 8. They care about a 3. It's not something you normally talk about. A friend of mine died recently. I'm going to his memorial service. Does that show that I care? Or did it simply work into my schedule? You know? Does the action justify the emotion? So much of dating and relationships is built around being able to shrug things off. We say that all the time. Move on, leave them behind, go on to the next, be indifferent, and to literally say, who cares? We tell you guys to do that all the time. Who cares? But mostly that's an act of self-preservation. But when it really matters, I think it really is just about that. Who cares? Do you? Do they? The two of us? How much? Do they care about you and the relationship to the degree that you want them to, hope they will, need them to? And do you the same? And I think, shouldn't that be in the vows before the lawfully wedded and the sickness and the health and the taking of the man and all that stuff? Caring. How much do they care? Because if someone cares enough, it's all possible. Whether they work with you or for you, or whether they're dating you or interested in you or married to you. Generally, when people break up as a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, wife, it's because one or both stopped caring. Caring is the glue. Caring is the impetus. It's the ingredient. It's the whatever you want to call it. It's the driving force to everything. One or two or both cared. And it's all that matters because it's the heart of what matters. And the odd thing is, the word is most commonly used as sort of a breakup softener. That's when it really comes up. I don't want to date you anymore, but you know I always care about you. Or, you know, what happened with you and David? Oh, I definitely still care about him. That's when we tend to throw that word in on the way out the door. You ever see Jenny anymore? I don't. I mean, I care about her, but blah, blah, blah. You just don't want to date them anymore. When we say that, we probably just don't care about them. That really was it is. You stopped caring. When we say this and we think about it, we're more curious as to what will happen to them. Oh, I still care about them. I still care about you. You're curious about what will happen down the road. You wish them the best. You hope they end up happy so you don't feel guilty. But I think that's the extent and the context of the caring. But the caring has to come first. They have to care about you. And they have to care about the relationship. And if those two are not in the top three, pick whatever you want for the third thing. Care about you, care about the relationship, they have to care about ravioli. I don't care what the third one is. But two of the three must involve caring about you in the relationship. If they're not two of the top three, at least of the things they care about, then it probably isn't enough caring about you or it. These people that I have trouble hiring, they don't need to care about the job or the company first, but they have to absolutely care about it, period. It has to be on the list of things they care about. Do they care to show up? Do they care to get things done? Do they care to succeed? Do they care if we succeed? Just like in a relationship. Do they care if we make money? Probably just like in a relationship. Do they care if we make money? Better fucking care. Got to care about the outcome, the project, the client, the customer. Care. Because it's still all about relationships. If you have customer, you have to show and know that you care about them. It still all starts and ends with that. Very simple word, and it's very simply taken for granted. We rarely talk. We've done, 400 episodes of this show. I don't think we've really dove into this, but it's such a fundamental part of all of it. I bring it back to the therapy because lots of people should bring it back to the therapy and fitness and health and mental states. It's all a form of this big umbrella that we call self-care, which is obviously extremely important. But the ultimate goal of self-care is to discover or reignite the ability to care. Your own, someone else. Care about another person, care about a potential relationship, care about the relationship you're in. To care and be cared for. So, do you need a whole lot of people to care a little bit about you? I don't know. I don't think you do. It's probably nice, but I don't know. But do you need one person to care about you a whole lot? You absolutely do. And vice versa. You need to care about somebody a whole lot. That's what you are in this for. To care. To completely care. And we always go back to what it starts with. We always talk about this on this podcast. The curiosity always drives everything. But the goal of the curiosity is discovery. And when you have discovery, you begin to connect, and hopefully the connection will lead to caring. That is the end game. Not love. Love is a subset of that. It's a byproduct of that. The caring is what matters. You have to give a shit. That's a definition of caring. Do you care? I give a shit. Good. So you have to ask the person you are with, whether you are dating them for the first, you're in the first few weeks of it, you've gone out a few times, or you're with somebody for several years. You're sort of that fork in the road. Do they care? Do they still care? Did they ever care? Do they care enough? And I'm not saying you literally ask them or email them a list of questions to look over before you have dinner. I'm saying that you need to take the steps to discover the answers, either covertly or overtly. Because if you're not 100% sure, you really can't be sure about any of it. And sometimes something happens in life or relationship and it all reveals itself with perfect clarity and there's no doubt. My God, they care so much. But sometimes the answers are not so neat and clean or obvious or consistent. Do they consistently care? Or do they care when it's convenient? Or do they care once in a while? Caring out of convenience is a lot worse than caring out of consistency. But the caring always matters. And you might be like, well, you, Brian Howie, have said love is nebulous concept. And how do you got to define it first before you can find it. Well, how do you define caring? I think it's simple. If you care, if you truly care, there's no doubt they will know. And if they care, there's no doubt you will know. And I think that's all you need to know, because I think that's what matters. Bring the airplane down to a new level and focus on the caring. Do I care about what we're doing here? Do I care about this person? Do I care about the outcome? Do I care about the next 50 years? All of it. I think that's what matters. I care. Because I care, here's what I'm going to do for you guys. So we are in our 10th season of our live tour, global tour, 10 years. 2 places I know we are doing a show coming up. I'll have the dates shortly. If they're not on greatlovedebate.com, check them out. Raleigh, North Carolina. That was one of the cities that got wiped out during the lockdown. We lost Singapore. We lost Raleigh. We lost Auckland. Maybe Raleigh is not as glamorous, but we owe them a show. We're doing it there. Phoenix, Arizona. We're doing a show there. I have not done a show in Phoenix in several years. I did not care that I did not do that, but they care, Phoenicians. So we will be back in the Valley of the Sun. GreatLoveDebate.com for details and hopefully tickets. Shoot me an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com, to talk about any of this if you care. And also, if you want us to come and do a show in your city, and it's not a city we've done a million times before. If you're just like, listen, you have never come to Oklahoma City. It's the 14th biggest city in America. You need to come here. I'll consider it, but you got to make a good argument. So make a good argument. Find a good venue. I'm not playing the corner of the ha-ha hut. I'm not playing some hotel ballroom. We play legit venues. So you find a legit venue and shoot me an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com, and I'll see what we can work out. But as always, like, share, follow, and please review this podcast. Your reviews still in 2023 mean a lot in the podcasting ecosystem. Because once again, at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.